And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review, and this is LKittyKelly from, and I love this, A Guild Has No Name. Yes, that's from Game of Thrones. Anyway, if you don't know what it's about, you're missing out. So LKittyKelly is mostly free to play. Again, has gotten caught up in a couple of those $10 packs, but all in all is basically free to play for the last 2.5 years, and a decent roster and doing decently in both arena ranks. Basically stays in the top 200 on both sides. Wants to do better in both of those, but wanted to really specifically talk about dark side territory battles, level 6 or mode 6, the ship's mission, because can't complete it and really needs to complete it for the mission to be completed to help contribute all of that GP to the team. Number 2 was kind of the factions to focus on for territory wars, and kind of hand in hand with factions is, out of those factions, once we know which factions they are, which Zetas should you be focused on and placing, the next 4 to 5 Zetas? Well, I happen to have 6 teams that we're going to talk about for factions and 7 Zetas. Now, you have 3 Zetas available, so 3 are going to have to go to the highest priorities in my opinion, but I've got 6 teams. We're going to talk about that, but first, we're going to go into how do you beat the Dark Side Territory Battle ship mission in the 6th day. We're going to talk about that really quick. Now, I know you're like, oh, I knew he was going to say this, and I don't want to do this. Well, got these ships basically 7-star, level 85, and their abilities taken all the way up except for the Omegas, and you've got the characters gear 7 or 8, and you've got them, basically 7 stars or whatever, and so you're wondering, I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to focus just simply for their ships. Well, I'm going to give you some good news. Their ships are nearly done. Really what you need to focus on for these ships to really pop is their uniques. So when you come in here, it's this unique, Swarm Aggression. So there's a basic and a unique. Every ship has a unique. These uniques are what give them that aggressive ability to just destroy the opponents. Yes, their basics are going to be important to eventually max out, because it has to do with the amount of damage that they're doing, and eventually you'll want to get their crew power ability maxed out, because their crew power ability maxed out is a good thing. But the biggest and most important aspect is really their uniques. So you're going to have to do the next 2 levels on each of the uniques. That's 6 level increases for your ships, and that's a lot of Omegas for these particular ships. You're talking about 100 Omegas, and you probably only get between 6 to 10 a week at best. So you're talking about 10 weeks or a couple of months minimum of hyper focus on these ships. Now, why these ships? Well, first, these ships are the most powerful ships in the game when combined together. They work phenomenal in territory wars, offense or defense. They're going to destroy territory battles, mission 6 for you, which is what you want. And you're going to be able to take these into all the hard nodes, level 5 of the ship battles, and 3-star them without looking back. Pretty amazing. So basically, every aspect of the game you could possibly ever need to defeat, beat, or do well in, the Geos are going to help you, with the exception of light side territory battles. That's it. Every other area, this is it. And your uniques are going to be the most important. Now, their crew ability is not going to be able to get maxed out until you get these characters to gear 11. So these abilities that they have are great, and eventually you'll want to do them, but the crew member matters less in this particular faction, and this is why. Their uniques are what make them so amazing, because of all of the bonus shooting and stuff, and the sharing of stats. It is not the crew member that makes these things good. You can and should eventually level these guys up to at least gear 11, and I know spending valuable gear on Geonosian Spy, Soldier, and Sunfax seems like a wasteful endeavor, but eventually you will want to get them all to the 7-star and gear 11. At a minimum, the very bare bones minimum of 11. Just pop it over to 11. You don't have to put any other gear 11 pieces on, because gear 11 will unlock the ability to max out this eventually. But again, the most important thing, aside from the crew members eventually being geared up, is just their uniques. Focus on their uniques first. And you're going to walk through everything you want to walk through in the game as far as ships goes. Now, I want to go to the main focus is what factions for Territory War and what Zetas would be associated with those factions. All right, number one and most important is none other than Jedi. And I see you got the little $10 pack. You say you're mostly free to play, and that's because you spend those $10 packs from time to time, and that's about it. And I noticed you did Bastila. That's a great $10 pack because it's an extra star, which is a big deal for her, and she's super viable at 3 or 4 stars, and you have her gear 11, you're working on gear 12. Now, with Jedi being number one, there's a couple of things. You can use Jedi on offense and defense in Territory Wars. You'll also get to use these guys in arena and territory battles, and this is a really great team for arena to really climb you out of the top 200 and into the top 100, so definitely want to focus on this team. But the two characters I would highly recommend you focus on, since Basila's done, Hermit Yoda's done, General Kenobi's done, is Ezra Bridger and Grandmaster Yoda, with the priority going to Grandmaster Yoda, his unique, and gear 11. Now you're at gear 9, which isn't bad. You're 2 pieces off of gear 10. So you need about 8 pieces on Grandmaster Yoda to really make him pop. And you're only 1 piece away from Ezra Bridger. So you're 9 total pieces of gear away. And you probably have about 3 of those pieces of gear ready to go once you pop Grandmaster Yoda from 9 to 10. So with that said, get Grandmaster Yoda maxed out. Get his Zeta on him. Get Ezra Bridger to gear 11. Get his Zeta on him. And this team will be ready to go for Territory Wars. Now that's 2 Zetas on this team, but I highly recommend you do these 2 first of all Zetas, Yoda, then Bridger, and gear them up, have them in your favorites. Let's go to the second team. Boom, Sith. That's right. Sith have been meta in the past. They're in the meta right now. They're going to be in the meta in the future, and you've got a ton of development for your Sith. So specifically for Sith, what we're going to look at, because you can use them on offense and defense in Territory Wars, is Darth Nihilus, finishing him up, Darth Sion, finishing him up, and then putting the Zeta on Darth Nihilus unique. Now, you don't have Darth Traya, and that's okay, because Darth Sion and Nihilus still have amazing synergies together. So you're going to get Darth Sion's last star very slowly off of the couple nodes he's available on, and you're going to want to finish their gear from gear 11 to gear 12. But Darth Nihilus would be the number 3 Zeta unique, and then you've also got lots of other great characters like Count Dooku and Sidious that you can use to help complement this Sith team for your Territory Wars, either offense or defensive teams. Number 3 is Night Sisters, and you've got all of the Night Sisters basically that you need. Although I will say Zombie and Spirit are both very, very good. You do eventually want to level them up, but Zombie for now, weak like this, works well in Territory Wars as long as you're running an Asajj Ventress lead. Now, if you're not going to run an Asajj Ventress lead, your Night Sister Zombie should be tanky, should be heavily geared up and 7-starred. So because your zombie's naturally weak, it would make more sense to do Asajj Ventress lead and use this as a defense team for Territory Wars. However, if you want to make it an offensive team, and I'll tell you why you'd want to do that, you would want a Zeta Mother Talzin. So for this 4th Zeta, you're going to have to decide which is best for you. Now, it depends on how much energy and effort you want to put into this team. Right now, as they sit, with a Mother Talzin lead and Night Sister Zombie, you will be able to, with the gear levels you're at, chew through a ton on offense. With Mother Talzin Zeta lead, Old Daka, Asajj Ventress, Zombie there, and you could use either Acolyte or Talia. You're going to be able to go through so many teams on Territory Wars. Offense, it's not funny. And you want Talzin lead Zeta for offense because you'll get the ability to kind of, through control, bring your team back as they're dying. They're lower gear and they are going to die, but you want to be able to revive them. So that's where having Old Daka on the team, and also where having Mother Talzin on the team with her Zeta leadership comes into play, because her leadership is going to give you the ability to bring them back from the brink if someone dies on the opposing team. And you don't have to focus on a ton of gear for this team. But if you want to keep your zombie the same and you're going to continue putting gear on these guys, and I recommend this for the Sith raid because this is one of the highest damage dealing Sith raid teams for phase 3 or 4, then I would put the Zeta on Asajj Ventress lead and then continue to develop the gear on Asajj, Old Daka, Mother Talzin, Talia, and Zombie. Those would be the ones that I would focus on, but eventually they're going to change Zombie in a way you'll need to gear Zombie up, but continue to star up the Zombie for now. So it depends on your focus. If you're not going to put a bunch of gear on them, do Mother Talzin, Zeta, and boom, you're instantly in the game offensively in Territory Wars. And if not, you put your number 4 Zeta on Asajj and use it as more of a defensive team in Territory Wars, and you're just going to have to continue to gear up the team. So it'll be up to you which direction you take your Night Sisters. The 5th Zeta we're going to talk about is Kylo Ren Unmasked Leadership. It is an amazing leadership and turns this team from meh to wow. You can use this team on offense or defense, but it's a really great defensive team. Now, you're probably thinking, well, there are a lot of Gear 8, Gear 9, characters. Are they really that good? If you're going to focus on this team, and remember, this team is the 4th priority, not first, but 4th, then once you get to this priority, yes, you will want to gear the entire team up. Now you're probably wondering, what are the best characters I should be focused on? Well, Kylo Ren Unmasked, your First Order Stormtrooper and TIE Pilot are super hard farms, and you have them both 7 stars, so that's phenomenal. And First Order Officer and OG Kylo Ren. That top row minus Captain Phasma is a phenomenal team to run. I would ask you to consider the First Order Executioner. He is farmable now, and his gearing is about just a skosh over average, so you could probably get him up to where the First Order Stormtrooper or Officer is pretty easily, and he does a ton of damage. But for defense, if you're going to use this team on defense, I would probably use those top 5 you have, just continue to develop them. Obvious, Kylo Ren is the tank of choice, and he's super tanky anyway, so you'll want to focus on getting his 7th star, getting his gear up, and Zetaing him, and this team becomes viable. The rest of the team can slowly follow suit in gear. Now let's move to the 5th team. So we gave Jedi a little love, and then we went into Sith, Night Sister, First Order, but 3 dark side teams. We need some light side love, because not only are you going to use these in Territory Wars for offensive and defensive, but these are going to be territory battle teams that you're expanding that are going to help you in territory battles as well. And so we've got to give some light side love, and your Ewoks look decent. When I say decent, I mean most of the stars are good. You've got them into the purple gear, and that's really cool. And there's only one Zeta that you need to make this team pop, and that is a Chief Chirpa lead. So for the 6th Zeta that I recommend, it would be Chief Chirpa, and then you're going to start to farm for gear all of your Ewoks. Now, the Ewoks that matter the most, and you can use a 4-star Wicket, and you will slowly get more Wicket shards over time, but Wicket definitely needs to make the team. And then the top row, the 4 to the right, Chief Chirpa, Logray, Poplu, and then Elder. Ewok Scout you can skip, but Poplu, Logray, and Chief Chirpa, Elder, and Wicket. Those are the best 5, and you've got them at like 7 or 8, gear 7 or 8 average. And so you're kind of like at the halfway point. This is why this team is priority number 5 on the list and not priority number 1, because you've got some work to do for sure with the gearing. But what's amazing is the moment you put a Chief Chirpa Zeta on, this whole team goes from being really terrible to amazing at the gear level you're at now. And then as you gear these guys up, it's going to be even better. With this team, the only thing you really need is a bunch of damage on Wicket, and you can put damage on everyone else. And then Poplu, you just want to make him tanky and fast. That's it. Make him as fast as you can and tanky as you can, and this team will really pop. You can use these guys, but I would highly recommend this as a primarily offense-only team. And we already talked that with Sith, you could use them on offense or defense. With Night Sisters, you can use them on offense or defense. With Jedi, you can use them on offense or defense. And with First Order, you can use them on offense or defense. Ewoks, you really don't want to use on defense. So this is the first team. It's a lower priority that only really is suggested for offense only. And the last team I suggest, team number 6, is Bounty Hunters. And so for the 7th Zeta, because we had 2 Zetas on Jedi, so for the 7th Zeta suggestion, it would be Bossk and his leadership ability. Bossk and his Zeta leader is like Kylo Ren Unmasked's leadership ability for First Order. It takes the team from it doesn't work at all hardly, to it's amazing on offense or defense, and it's a great defensive team. Well, bounty hunters in general get a big boost, just like First Order do in the territory wars. And so the reason, and the only reason why these guys make the lowest part of the list, is for a couple of reasons. One, you need to do quite a bit of work on them, and two, those other teams I suggested are much more usable in other areas of the game, with the exception of Ewoks. But Ewoks are slightly more developed, or about the same developed as bounty hunters. So what I would suggest is your sixth priority is bounty hunters. They're going to help you with territory battles, those special missions, and you're going to use them in territory wars. And what's cool is you can use them on defense or offense. They work really well on both. And you can use the top row that you have, but Bosk is the requirement. You can use him at 3 stars. He's a tank and is tanky. So you just have to put him in your favorites and farm him up. Once he's farmed up and you get him to gear 9 or above, you can throw his Zeta on him. He'll be the 7th Zeta that I suggest. And this team goes from being meh to amazing, even at the gear level they're at right now. That's right. And of the top row, definitely Dengar, Greedo, Boba Fett, and Zam Wesell are phenomenal. IG-88 and Cad Bane are also decent. So you're going to have to decide, do you want to take the path of least resistance, or do you want to take work on certain characters that might help you in other areas, such as IG-88 will help with droids, and you have some decent droid synergies going on right now. So you might want to consider him over Cad Bane, or maybe you see a lot of Jedi in Arena and you want to work Cad because eventually you might potentially use Cad Bane in a particular territory war where you have to use him on offense against a Jedi team or something like that. Anyway, the idea is you need to figure out which bounty hunters you like the best that are going to help you across all areas of the game. But my suggestion, Bosk for sure, Boba for sure, Greedo for sure, and Dengar for sure. That last 5th slot could be Cad, Zam, or IG-88, and all 3 have their merits for different reasons. Zam is a real engine when it comes to thermal detonators. Cad Bane's got a stun and is good against Jedi, and the IG-88 is going to really help for your droids and your droid meta potential down the road. So that's what I think about those. I've given you the top 6 teams with the top 7 Zetas out of those teams. LKittyKelly, I hope this helps. And again, shout out to a guild has no name. I hope that this has really gotten you focused. I hope that you can start to focus on the specific teams and team comps, and have a really good Zeta order priority for you and where you're at in your development, so that way you can move forward and become more contributional to the team for territory battles and territory wars alike. I know geos aren't what you probably wanted to hear for ships, but trust me on this, once you get their uniques done out, you could even throw them under target and you'll probably make the top 100 pretty easily. And so just focus on their uniques only. If you have any ideas for Kitty Kelly, leave them in the comments down below and keep your gaming on. Warrior out.